Hello, testing. Testing the audio. Also, this stream should be in HD. See if that works. All of the previous streams were in 720p. I think it should stream in 1080, and then it should be available in 4K. Okay, cool. So audio seems to be working. The video feed, HD. Let's do some stuff. All right, so hello everyone. I am back to working on my game, and specifically I'm working on the open world level design for my racing game. This is a personal project and I'm just having fun. All right, so I guess in case anybody watches this later, I will kind of tell you where I'm at and what I'm doing. This is my open world map. It's about 8 square kilometers, just small enough to avoid Unity's floating point precision errors. And let's just go ahead and do a quick test drive in the open world. See what it feels like. And then we'll come in and we'll do some level creation stuff. So I am going to drive around using the Xbox controller, Xbox One. And kind of just see what it, well, this is really just a test drive for everybody to see what I'm working on, anybody who's new, and get caught up to what I've done so far and what I'm trying to do moving forward. So if I go over to the scene view really quick, I could get an idea of where everything is. Fog is kind of covering everything. This is a little tunnel entrance area that I built last time. This is made up of multiple splines, so it's a procedural mesh that's being created based on the spline shape. And there's actually multiple procedural meshes, and the other entrance to that tunnel is over here. I have a large kind of downtown area. Ferris wheel area and like a few other bridges, but basically this section is done and the rest of the map is not. So I'm kind of over here right now. There's an extra light on the scene. Maybe I'll solve that flickering soon. I don't know. I think it's a reflection probe. If it is, I should just turn it off. So really quick, let's actually drive through this tunnel. I think there's some geometry issues still with this tunnel. There's some occlusion culling issues. I need to rebake it. I've been adding geometry and have not rebaked the occlusion culling. And I need to fix this eventually, but this is a detail to me. So I need the road to touch the ground. And I think I'll just end up adding another different type of procedural mesh as a side object or something. I should make the car top speed faster. Yeah, there's another collision issue. Anytime you see the car jump up, there's going to be a lot of terrain issues on this side of the island. This was kind of like the prototype phase where I went and I built out this this whole city area, set up a bunch of streetlights that are interactive. These streetlights are actually managed through a C# job using the Burst compiler. So they get their settings adjusted so that they're super optimized. And yeah, so this is basically what I've previously built. I am missing some decals on some of these roads that I need to fix. That's just detail work. And I should probably turn up the traffic density. I need to update the traffic system. Last time I was in this doing updates, you're seeing a lot of geometry popping because of the occlusion culling. I went in and I added a few racetracks to the open world. So the idea is the player would be able to kind of see these racetracks and go there for different events. Just something else that I can have the player do. My main goal right now is to try to fill up this open world with a bunch of content. I think down here is... No, not over here. Next curve. I think it's on the side of this hill. I used racetrack generator to generate this racetrack. Obviously there's like no street lights. This whole open world area out here is completely empty. But we can see there's a racetrack down there. Kind of see if we could drive onto it. I don't have an actual path to get into the racetrack yet. Oh, and there's apparently no collision. So anyway, you've had a chance to see what the project looks like so far. And let's go back into the open world art scene and build some stuff. Just waiting for Unity to load. I guess I re-entered play mode. So I think today I'm gonna put some vegetation out. I don't know what else I'm gonna do. Perforce is offline. Get that fixed. Oh, Unity is so slow. All right, Perforce is connected. Just check out the scene. Okay, so again, we have the downtown area. We have this huge road. We have 2 racetracks. We have 1 tunnel. I want to add another tunnel, but I'm not ready to do that yet. I'll probably have a few tunnels in this game. And I'll also probably add a tunnel somewhere in this downtown area. I think that would be pretty cool. Let's see. Do I need to change to make, oh, okay, so the vegetation is showing up, it's just not very detailed. Okay, cool. So I think I can add a little bit of vegetation to some areas. But I want to get like another kind of major section in. I don't really have a plan. Okay. Hey, what's up? I am doing some open world level design on my racing game. And I'm trying to figure out what major feature I want to put in here right now. And I'm kind of drawing a blank. So I think what I'll do is I'll put like a section of, I don't know, housing or something. I should probably get some reference to look at. I have this really long road and I don't know what I want to connect to it. So I think I should just, let's see. I have a road piece here that needs to connect to something. That's what I'll start with actually. So I'll do something over on this side. What do I want to put here? I feel like it should be more buildings, like downtown buildings, because it's close to the downtown and there's this big highway section here. Yeah, I think this section's going to be buildings. So let's, I think I'm just going to like freestyle a road network over here. Yeah, that sounds good. So let me go ahead and kind of flatten some of this out. Select my terrain and switch to set height mode. Sample that. Let's increase the brush size, make it really big. Quick work of this area. I don't know what I'm going to do with the perimeter of this. If I'm going to leave these like mountains this high or probably not. But I'll figure that out as I go. Okay, so increase the opacity. So this whole section over here is going to be like another urban downtown type area. Maybe this will be like residential high rises or something. Not sure yet. Let's increase this a little bit more. And I'm not really worried about the height along the road right now. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'll blend that in later. But since this is all flat, now I can kind of plot out some kind of road section over here. So let's find our road architect system. See, how many roads do we have? We have road 3, road 2, and road 1 is the big road. I'll create a 4th road on this network. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and place that right over here. First point. And I'll kind of do the same thing I did on the big island. I'll make a perimeter around this area. And then I'll add some cross streets in there. Maybe a park area. So we have 4-lane roads. And the road sections are set to 5.7, the lane width that is. Then update the road. We also have shoulders disabled. And I think this was missing textures last time too until I created the 3rd piece. Yep, there we go. Or the 3rd node, I should say. So with this one, because I know I'm going to be creating like a bunch of branching nodes, I am going to have a lot of nodes. I've learned from previous experiences that it's typically better to have more nodes on your road than less when you're creating a lot of intersections. Let me try to line this up a little bit. And the first few nodes, I'm actually going to align them on, what is that, the x-axis. Let's just copy that value for right now. And we'll assign that to the first 4 nodes. Right. Now I have nice little straight section over here, so this should not really move too much. Just going to do some final adjustments. I feel like the road needs to be a little bit wider, but I want it to match all the other roads, so I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to take this new x value and copy it over to the other nodes. And update the road again. And I think at this point, that section is actually pretty close to being good enough for now. Just check the height of it. I'll make the height for the roads match up right now, but I'm not really concerned with the terrain underneath the roads. I will clean all of that up as a final pass. Okay, that looks good enough, I think. Oh, that's a little too high. I'm just gonna, well, I don't know why I'm apparently not using these fields properly today. Okay, cool. All right, and let's make the rest of the perimeter now. I have these splines for that tunnel updating, and I think I need to turn that off because I'm losing some performance. I see that that spline is updated 6,100 times. No need to do that. I don't know what I'll put over here. I still got to figure out a lot of the vista views, like what kind of stuff I want off in the distance. Maybe I'll put like a cruise ship or a couple cruise ships out there and some other stuff. Maybe I'll make a giant pier that the player can't actually get to. Like I live in Chicago. Well, I don't live in Chicago. I live near Chicago. We have Navy Pier, giant pier. Got a big old Ferris wheel on it. Some other big convention center buildings. Maybe it would be cool to do something like that. I can't let the player go on it because if they go past where the land is, they'll experience floating point precision errors. So physics will start getting messed up. So I think I'll probably only put things that the player cannot actually get to. So maybe there'll be some distant islands back there. That's something that I can do. Well, this feels like it's a pretty nice size area. Let's kind of compare it. That's pretty similar in size to this piece. I feel like what I want over on the right side, like if the player's driving here and looking to the right, I feel like I want like a bunch of trees. Like this will just be an area that the player can't go. Maybe on a not too far off side of it, there'll be stuff, but this stuff will be accessible from another road over here. It's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to try to create divisions and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't want to go into so much detail that I'm going to be spending my entire life building this scene. So I think specifically right now, what I'm trying to figure out is what do I want to do with this road? Do I want to just connect over here to this road? Or, yeah, I do. There is no or. I just do. So on this road, what is that? Road 1. Need to add another node. And let's see. So I think this is going to come up a little bit. This is going to come up and the ones up there are going to come down. But they're also going to need to be level. I don't like it when my intersections are not level. I feel like I always get bugs if they're not level. Like with the geometry and just what it creates automatically. So I'll probably need to create a few more nodes as well on this lower road. Okay, I think I've raised it enough at this point, actually. So, excuse me. Sorry if I coughed in your ear. I am going to take the node position of the node Y position and just use that same position for these two nodes on the side of it. And I'll update it. That's close enough. Now I'm going to try to lower these three nodes to that same Y position. And update the roads. And yeah, it'll be something like that. So now I want to add one more node over here and use this node to connect them. And let's take a quick look at this intersection and see the geometry is okay. I feel like it is. It is definitely not bad. So I am not going to try to play with that too much. I'll just leave that how it is. And I guess from here I can start adding some more. Excuse me. I think this node right here will have a road that kind of goes up and connects to that other road. Let's add a new road. It'll be road 5. Not that one actually. This one. And we'll change this to a 4-lane so it matches. And I'll do 5.7. No shoulders. Update. Cool. I love it when it just builds roads and there's no errors. Like, perfect. Right, let's make this road longer now. And where will it connect? I think it'll connect probably to this one, right? Let's see. I don't know how many streets I'm going to have here. All right, push this right over here. All right, it's starting to come together. So I don't think I'll have another another road on the x-axis. I think I'll put a couple on the z-axis. Maybe I'll connect them right here. I don't know. Yeah, let's just put a few on the z-axis. I'll add another road. And this, let's see, how many do I want here? Let's put 2. I'll put one right around here and another right around there. Yeah, that works. Those are going to be some big areas. What am I going to put in here? Hey Dan. No, I'm not working for any company right now. I was doing some freelance work previously, but I'm no longer working on any projects with anybody. I've completed all of my contract work. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I don't really want to get this close to that intersection, so I think I'm going to add another node right here. Yeah, that's better. And let me switch this one to a 4-lane and set the width to match. Stable shoulders and update the road. All right, and let's see. Is that what I want it to be? Will I put a road right here? If I do put a road right here, I want to add another point. But this might not, nah. Yeah, let me add another point. Hey Joshua, how's it going? We finished Remnants of the Dawn, and it's currently just sitting on Steam. There's we went through like a wave of testing. We were trying to get some publishers and seeing if like anybody was interested. And I think, me personally, I think the game needs a little bit more work. We kind of did quantity over quality in terms of game design. So we finished a game really fast, but I think the game could be better. And I think publishers are looking for something that is a little bit deeper. That being said, I think the current plan is to just release Remnants of the Dawn in September. That's currently what we pushed it back to while we were reaching out to publishers and getting feedback. Yeah, so there's like, I want to spend another week's worth of development on it before we release it, doing some bug fixes, and yeah, then it should be released. Dan said, have I thought about doing the traffic system on Unreal? I don't know if it's possible. I mean, I'm sure Unreal has a way of multi-threading. I'm a C# developer, so I would have to learn a few tricks about Unreal. I'm sure it's something that could probably be done. But I actually don't use Unreal. I only use Unity. So I'm not sure if there's really no incentive for me to do that other than like trying to give the system to Unreal developers. So the incentive I had to build it for Unity was I'm making this racing game and I have a huge world, and a solution didn't exist for the traffic system. So I made it so that I can use it. if that makes sense. But if I were to start a new project in Unreal, like let's say I wanted to make a game, I've used Unity for almost 10 years. I have so much experience in Unity, so getting started is not hard. What's hard is figuring out what to make. If I was working someplace that required me to use Unreal, I think that's the only thing that would get me to use Unreal. Or if Unity just decides to like burn the house down, then I'll be forced to go to Unreal, but I don't really see that happening. Let's see how these intersections turn out. I didn't make them as straight as I would like to, so I feel like the geometry could be a little funky. Yeah, to be honest, I'm a little burnt out from Remnants of the Dawn, just because we made a game so fast. Took a lot of effort, a lot of mental power to just program all of that stuff. So it's nice to kind of just do some level design in the open world. This feels really relaxing, actually. I think this intersection looks okay. Like it's not, it does have that weird shape. And I feel like once you start creating an intersection that has a weird angular offset in it, that's not like perpendicular, I feel like it's hard to get rid of these. But I don't feel like I'm going to be changing what's ever over here, so I can leave that here. Okay, so I think I need another, what do I want to put here? I think I want to put a road going east and west and a road going north and south. I feel like that's what I really want to do here. What's up, Mikey? Yeah, that's definitely what this game is going to be. Really, I was never going to release the traffic system on the asset store. The question was, Dan was saying he was scrolling through my YouTube channel and asking why I didn't create a game involving traffic. And I actually created a very basic traffic system, but people kept asking for it. And then I developed all of these editor tools for it. So like my use case was actually very simple. I just wanted high performance traffic in my open world. And then once I published it to the asset store, it did pretty well. And a lot of people were asking for tools that would make it easier to configure traffic systems. So that's where all of the editor tooling came from. Which if I did it myself, it would have just been like, I would have just did what I needed to do to make it work. And I don't think I would have built all of those editor tools. But I'm glad I did at this point. And I think in the future, I do have like ideas of things that I can do with that traffic system. Like I think if I can make it so, which I don't think this is hard, I would like to make it so that I could tell any AI car to go to any AI waypoint on any route, and he'll be able to pathfind his way there through the network. I don't think writing that logic will take very long. I just need to prioritize it. And I think doing stuff like that, like it opens the door to all kinds of like mission-based games. which could be really cool. I mean, a street racing game that's open world, that's kind of like a mission-based game. But when you have cars that can go anywhere you tell them to, and they don't need a nav mesh, that could be really powerful. So since I created it, I have kind of been thinking, what can I use this for in a creative way? I think the biggest thing that like comes to mind initially is things like Crazy Taxi, or the old Driver game, the original Driver. I never played any of the later ones. I feel like all of the roads I've been building have been coming out like pretty nice. I don't want to jinx it. Yeah, I think I love everything that came out in PlayStation 1 and some things that came out for PlayStation 2. Anything after that, I was already an adult, so I kind of don't have any nostalgia for them. Like PlayStation 3 and 4. The only game I really cared about from PlayStation 4 was the Final Fantasy remake. Oh, there's an error. I knew it had to happen at some point. And I wasn't paying attention, so I don't really know what caused it, but the road looks okay, so I think it's fine. Yeah, I loved Rockstar games. Those were fun. I never played GTA 5, I will admit it. Um, I played all the. When did I stop playing GTA? Probably 4. I think 4 was the last one that I played. It sucks being an adult. You just don't have time to play these games anymore, and you have to decide. I used to spend all of my time playing games, like all of my time, and then I realized I needed to do something with my life, and I decided to learn to make them. It would be cool to work on a GTA game. I think that would be fun. I know they don't use Unity though. I think they probably use a lot of their own custom tech. All right, so now I'll just draw another road section going east and west. This point good? Yeah, that point will be good. It'll be this point to that point. And I'll kind of, this won't be a perfectly straight road. This will kind of be like an L-shaped road. I have tried the lightweight render pipeline before it was called Universal Render Pipeline. I didn't make anything with it. I just like made a project and was like, okay, this is interesting. And I did the same thing with HDRP. So both of them were in preview when I tried them. Because I've used Unity for so long, I've acquired a ton of assets over the years. Like, I spend an insane amount of money. Most people, like, I've probably spent upwards close to like $5,000 on the asset store. So I have a huge asset library. And the problem was that when those pipelines came out, a lot of my like graphical assets weren't supported out of the box. So like specifically one of the things that I'm using in this project. Hey Marcel, how's it going? I'm using the volumetric lights from the asset store. Now that asset was updated recently to support lightweight render pipeline and HDRP. I want to use HDRP for this project. But when I started this project, it was still in preview and asset store publishers were not supporting either of those pipelines because they were still in preview and they were constantly changing. And I feel like they're still going to change. My perception of HDRP when I import it, like it's weird to me to not see an empty project. So like if you start a brand new project with HDRP, you get all of these folders with all of this stuff in it, and I haven't gone through them. And then you get this demo scene, and the demo scene has all of this stuff in it. With Unity's standard pipeline, like you don't need anything special in your scene. And I feel like the stuff that's in the HDRP demo scenes, I just need to look at it. It's probably like just a learning curve that I don't feel like dealing with, but I don't like that there's just objects hanging around that do stuff. I feel like those should probably be built into the project and they should be static calls or something. Whatever's providing what those custom objects in the scene are providing. It's weird. I do want to look into it though. And I feel like once I'm done with this project, which maybe it'll be 6 months, maybe it'll be a year. I have no idea how long I'm going to work on this racing project for. I have a feeling at some point I'm going to get tired of it. And I'll either take a break or I'll try to finish it, depending on how close to the end I am. And when I'm done with it, then I will try to upgrade it to HD render pipeline and see what kind of issues I run into. But personally, I think if you're starting a brand new project and there's no reason to not use HDRP, I think you should definitely use it. And the same thing for URP. I think URP is really specifically for mobile and low-end PCs. Need to add one more point in here. But like every time I see somebody do like some kind of demo with the HDRP, I always get really jealous because I'm like, that looks amazing. But sometimes the things that look amazing, like I don't know if it would be possible, to be honest, if to build what I'm building in HDRP for performance reasons. Like I haven't tested that. The only reason I'm comfortable building this project is because I've probably had like 100 different Unity projects where I've experimented with the standard pipeline and optimizing for performance. So I'm not really afraid of anything in the standard pipeline. I don't know enough about the HD pipeline to say the same. I'm just going to connect this one, actually. I think looks like it's going to come out okay. Hey, what's up, Official Mythic Music? It's going pretty good. You said, how's the level design going? I'm having fun. Relaxing on a Sunday. I should be writing API documentation for my traffic system, but I don't feel like doing that right now. I got a broken intersection. The first one. I knew it had to happen. Eventually. Let's see what happens when I move these around a bit. Yeah, relaxing is definitely good. I don't do enough of it, to be honest. Oh, this intersection is not looking good at all. Let me try to select the road system and press update all roads. Maybe that'll fix it. Why aren't you fixing yourself? What is wrong with this intersection? And how can I make it not wrong? Let me try making these straighter. I am actually using the square. Often I'm using the square. Sometimes I'll do it on a single axis, sometimes I'll do it from the pivot point using the square. What is wrong with this road? Oh, man. That's not cool. Everything was going extremely well. So let me try to move some of these. Yeah, I should do that. I think you're right, Marcel. I should delete the intersection node and try to recreate it. Let me try one more time to update with the changes I just made. Yeah, I'm just going to delete this thing. Usually by this point, I probably would have saved. And I probably should save. So after I get through this next issue, I'll save. I always hate deleting nodes. So like when I get to a point where something's broken, I just revert it in Perforce. Let's see. I think I know what I did to cause that. It's that little node that I created at the end. But you were right, Marcel. That did fix it. Thank you, sir. Well, I feel like this is okay-ish. No, I'm not happy with that intersection because it was supposed to go over here too. So I got to delete it again. Wow, all that work, and I forgot I needed to make it cross. That's okay. So where is node 8, right? You're going to go over here. I do have to say, it's nice to have somebody looking over your shoulder and tell me how to fix what I mess up. Otherwise, you kind of sometimes just get stuck spinning your wheels. So, which one do I want to pull in? I think I'll pull... Well, I want to add one more node. And somehow, some of these got offset. The height got offset. I want to keep them all flat for right now. I'll probably adjust the ground height a little bit later. But when I'm initially creating these intersections, I just want everything to be flat. I'm going to set all of these nodes to that same height for the intersection. And yeah, there we go. So I don't know what the time setting is, like as far as a year goes. I feel like the game is primarily going to take place at night. I think it's only going to take place at night. Hence the name Midnight Streets, but there might be like a daytime system or something. I don't know yet. Because I think if I did a time of day system, I could probably come up with some cool mechanics to go along with that, but I don't want to connect this node right here to this node because I only have 2 nodes on the side, and I feel like I need more nodes in between intersections. So I'm either going to connect it to this road or this node or insert one. But the game itself will be, yeah, because yeah, this is Midnight Streets. So the Midnight Streets, like all of the original devlogs that I did, that was building this little section over here. It looks completely different because this is just like the scene view with like really harsh lighting, just so I could see like all of the big things that I need to see while I'm building. And there's like no graphical effects, and you're just looking at this like ugly stylized blue plane. Yeah, what am I doing over here? Probably because the intersection was facing this way. Anyway. So yeah, it'll primarily take place at midnight, and I think the games that I grew up playing were Need for Speed, Underground, Midnight Club 1, Midnight Club 2. And those are really the racing games I remember playing the most. I think I like the Midnight Club games better. Need for Speed was more of like a story, like you follow the main character type of thing, where Midnight Club, you race against all of these different street racers with different personalities, and you go all throughout the world or throughout the city, wherever you were. I think the first one, you traveled the world. And I really enjoyed that. Like the snarky banter that they would have before each race. Kind of felt like I don't know, like the snarkiness you would see in a cartoon, but you're playing a racing game, and they would just say all these wacky things. What do I want to do with this? I feel like I'm not happy with this at all, because I just wanted something to cross, and this is not what I was thinking. So basically, like it's going to be open world. There's going to be a bunch of events and different racers that you can race against. And I think the idea is that when you beat them, you would unlock new things to do. So it's kind of like there's some kind of progression system. And eventually you're going to beat like the lead street racer. And then you'll be the one that beat everybody, so now you're the champion. I don't really have any crazy new ideas, and to be honest, I'm not really focused on level design, or I'm not focused on game design right now. I'm focused on world design, and I feel like once I have this world, I could come in here and I could like program all of these different scenarios. But until I do this, like anything I would program is just going to have to change. So I'm just kind of avoiding doing rework because I'm doing it by myself. So I'm trying to strategize everything. So this first phase will be building the world, and then the second phase will be coming in and putting all the gameplay in. And then the third phase will be playtesting and then iterating on all of the design that I've come up with through that point. I think I need to delete this intersection again. Yeah. Because it's just not the right angle for where I'm trying to go, unfortunately. I feel like I want to just delete this whole road. I will probably do sport bikes, like motorcycles, as well as cars. I think that was fun to be able to drive either or. I don't know if there will be other kinds of vehicles yet. My current plan is just motorcycles and cars. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the motorcycle AI yet. I don't know how complicated that will be. If it's going to be a whole big thing, I don't think I will have AI on bikes. But if it seems like it's something I could do in like a couple of weeks, for sure I'll probably do that. The thing is, I need an avatar on them too. And I think the bike pack that I have because I bought some bike physics pack. I think that comes with an animated driver. So all I need to do is get a bunch of sport bike models and then see if I can make that work with an AI system. Which in theory, it shouldn't be too hard. So how do I want this to go? This is going to come down here. This is going to come over. Well, if any of you guys are watching to learn how to build roads right now, like, don't do it the way that I'm doing it, because this is a very bad example of building a road. Okay. Now we'll get this over here. I'm not going to lie, I really want to get to the point where I have this open world done, but I don't do enough art creation. And I feel like this is a lot of fun. I'm trying to enjoy it while I'm doing it. I think if I had my choice, I would prefer to be an artist instead of a programmer. But I have to spend a lot of time learning all of those art skills. And I don't ever choose to do that. That being said, when I get to art-related tasks like this, sometimes I think I try to rush things. Yep, there's another error with this intersection creation. Hopefully it comes out okay. Maybe there could be like a little gas station in this section or something. Like I should be having a bunch of references up right now so that I can be building in a direction. But there's also like some kind of charm in just freestyling whatever you do. Like from a learning perspective, it's really good. But I, like in all honesty, I should be like having some kind of hand-drawn map and planning out what I would put in all of the different sections of this map. But I feel like it's starting to come together. Still a lot of ground to cover. I know I want to create a forest area, at least 2 or 3 more tunnels. And I really want to improve the tunnel system. Again, for anybody who hasn't followed, the tunnel system is pretty cool. It uses splines and procedural mesh. So I can take this path spline right here and just I wrote this script to auto update it. Like there's like sub splines that get assigned, and anyway, when I move one of these spline points, the entire tunnel moves. So like I have a procedural tunnel system, which is a lot of fun. I just need to improve the ground-based like aspect of it. Can't really get in there very well. But the splines, I had a lot of fun working with splines for level design. Do I know of a tool to do simple polygon mesh editing in the editor? I use ProBuilder for that. So like I would ProBuilderize a mesh. Like for example, all of these roads in this section, they've all been cut up. So this is not part of the spline anymore, and they've been optimized. So like if I wanted to edit this section right here and actually put some UVs on it so it's not just empty, I would just open ProBuilder, hit the ProBuilderize button, which is right here. And then you can basically do whatever you want to it. Just go into like face mode or edge mode or vertex mode. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to deal with undoing it. Yeah, I was really excited for Polybrush when the original author created it, and I bought it, and then Unity acquired it, and I just never used it for some reason. But I use ProBuilder all the time. Like I think it's great for editing things, especially like when I was going through and like optimizing all of these road sections here. I use ProBuilder a ton to like just merge meshes and export them out as like, so this intersection, I have 3 left turn arrows, for example, and this is an example of a ProBuilder mesh. So by default, this decal would have been 3 draw calls, 1 for each time it was there. And by using ProBuilder, I was able to combine them and also edit them a little bit to remove some faces that were not really necessary and just kind of like optimize them. Yeah, highly recommend ProBuilder. I have Curvy. I used it once when I first started. I don't remember what I did with it. I like it. I'm using DreamTech splines right now. I'm really enjoying DreamTech splines. They had a couple tutorials that just kind of helped you get off the ground really quickly without needing to dig into the documentation. Yeah, you like honestly, like I grew up an artist. I used to be into graffiti and I would tag a lot. I would draw in sketchbooks a lot. I love drawing graffiti. I also love drawing like just cool looking characters and stuff like that. But I kind of stopped that as I became an adult, and when I decided I wanted to do something, I was like, well, I want to make apps. People are making a lot of money making apps. So that's what led me to Unity. And as I was using Unity, I was like, well, I definitely need the code to do anything in Unity. And that is what I ended up doing for the last 10 years. And now like over that time, I picked up a lot of art skills too, but I'm not highly competent as an artist. Like I can't go into Max or Maya and just like do some awesome stuff. Like I have no clue how to navigate through the interface. I understand the concepts behind what the interface is doing, but it's not something I'm really comfortable with, like working in Unity. But yeah, like I have to do that often, especially because like right now, when I say that is zooming out, that's really what I'm focused on right now. And I feel like every open world game has something special about it, and it's like the way that the different areas the different sections of the map feel special, and they're like their own districts. So I want to try to create that in whatever way I can. So like this section that I'm working in right now, there will probably be like some racer that hangs around here that you're going to have to beat. And the same thing with the downtown area, that might be like a racer or two. And like this little tourist area with the Ferris wheel, or like hanging out in the wooded area by the industrial plant, or by the hotel area. So I'm trying to come up with all of like, also like I don't have a huge budget. Like I would, every time I come up with an idea, it's like, okay, well, how can I do that? Like one thing that I want to put in here is an airport, for example. I think it would be really cool to have an airport and have planes flying in, but I'm not going to go and try to model a plane. So I would probably buy a plane. And to be honest, like if I'm spending all this time making this game, I want to be able to sell it. And I don't trust art that comes from places like TurboSquid and stuff like that. And at least on the Unity store, we have their end user license agreement, and they're supposed to be vetting their packages and making sure that like they're all legal to use. But the point is, like I know that if I buy something from Unity, I can use that. Whereas so I guess the point I'm making, like I really want to go in and take like, so if I go to Unity Asset Store, I was looking at it the other day, and I might actually buy this. Like there's search for airport, there's a few different airports, and I think the one that I was looking at was, I think FaZe Squad had the nicest looking one, and it's like $50. But then there was another one that was kind of cheap for like $15, but the props are like, they're okay, but it just doesn't look as cool as, and it doesn't come with an airplane. So this one is an entire scene that comes with some vehicles that you would see at an airport, and it would be cool to just grab this and drop this into the city, and it looks like they have a whole airstrip. So this was something I was actually thinking about, like just grabbing and putting, like, let's say right here, for example. That would be a perfect spot for an airport. And I think that is something that I'm going to grab. I just haven't decided to buy it yet. But really, when I'm zooming out, I'm trying to figure out what's missing from the divisions. And what do I want the player to do? I know I need a forest area. Like I want to have winding roads that go up to the mountains, which will probably be something like over here. A suburban area, which might be over here actually. And I don't know what else I'm going to put in there yet. I would like to get, like, you could go crazy. You could build GTA literally, but one person can't build GTA. So that's the challenge that I always face. But as far as this road network over here, I feel like this is pretty good. I could do some cool stuff with it. Like I said, I think I'll put a gas station right here. And I'll probably have some kind of like condominium buildings or something like that. Like over here, this is downtown, so these are just like huge, big buildings, office buildings. I think I want to make an underground area over here too. So like with that tunnel system, I could like just go down a little bit, and then I could make a huge underground network of like things to do. That's something I'm also thinking about, like not just building out with what you can see up here, but also going down. I guess it really depends how much time I actually end up spending building this. And I don't know right now. So at this point, I'm going to save. I'm happy with the progress. I could put some Seascape buildings here. I really don't know if I'm going to use Seascape. Those are all Seascape buildings over here. So they're just like procedural buildings. They have all these parameters that I could change. They look really ugly in the editor, but once the scene loads, they update themselves and they look better. But I feel like I feel like I don't want to have Seascape type buildings all around my whole scene. But they're super optimized, which is great. Anyway, submit all this stuff to Perforce. Save scene and save project. And then I'll try to think of something else to do. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like this was basically my goal, was to just block out something. The last section, or the last session I had, I blocked out that racetrack and this racetrack and this little tunnel entrance section. So I feel like what I have to focus on now is this large section, which actually I really feel like I should get that airport, because it would be cool to see airplanes flying and landing, and that's something that's pretty easy to set up. Yeah, now that I'm using the terrain hole, I don't know how that would translate. Honestly, so the question was, what are my thoughts on using the terrain system versus using meshes? And I probably will use the terrain system because I am using the terrain hole feature. Yes, that's correct. And in my previous tests, I think the last devlog I did in like December or whatever, I was over 100 frames per second on my machine. And I might have been at 120. So I think I got to like a fully optimized point where like everything that I have in the project, and this terrain was in the project at the time. Granted, like all of this new content that I'm loading was not attached to it. But I don't think the terrain is going to cause me any issue. I think if I was going for mobile, I would probably not use terrain. I would probably use a mesh. And like if that were the case, like if I did need to turn this into a mesh, I have a tool to do that. I think it's called mesh to terrain or terrain to mesh. It goes both ways, so it can turn your mesh into a terrain or it can turn your terrain to a mesh. I've previously used that to optimize, like for example, my traffic system. That's how I don't have a terrain in that scene. That scene is using a mesh, and I just pulled out all of the details from it, and that's how I made the demo scene. But I think for PC and for what I'm targeting, I think just having one terrain is fine. Now you could like do some crazy things and make your terrain super expensive. I'm gonna try to be aware of the textures that I'm using and the shader that I'm using. I recently found, I recently learned about Jason Booth's microsplat shader, and I love that thing. I was using CTS previously, but CTS is like, man, changing any value in that causes your editor to reload a bunch of textures, and it's just super slow to use. Looks great, but Microsplat, I feel like, is very modular and easy to understand. I highly recommend Microsplat Shader. And supposedly it's way faster than the built-in Unity shader. And CTS was supposed to be faster than the built-in Unity shader, but if you're using like 4K or 8K textures with CTS, you're obviously gonna have some issues. But I think the Unity terrain is just fine. I need to clean up my hard drive. Let me do a reconcile in Perforce. I think all these new roads need to be added to. And wait until that reconcile is done. Yeah, when I first saw Microsplat, I was like, what is this? It like, I looked at it and I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't watch any of his videos and I didn't even give the product a chance. And I regret making that decision. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the visual result from CTS. It looked great. But every time I used that thing, man. And then I feel like if I wanted to make a change to it, it was like pulling teeth. Like, simple things would take me a half hour and just like reloading textures and then errors. I think switching textures out was not intuitive. That's my only complaint about CTS. I think they needed to focus on user workflow a little bit more. Okay, I'll put those in. And submit. Work in progress, level design. Done. I think I am going to buy that airport that I just showed you guys. Because I really want an airport in this scene. I think that one of the things that adds a lot of value to level design is having other objects in the scene to look at. So like, if you're driving down a road and you're like seeing planes fly through the air, I think that looks cool. If you're seeing them land on a road or on an airstrip near you, I think that would look really cool too. You're able to crash your car into that and maybe have a race in the airstrip. That would be cool too. I think the airstrip is worth it. At some point, like, because I've spent so much money on the asset store and a lot of it like has been for tools and art for this project, I'm always hesitant to buy more. And I've bought so much art that I don't use. Am I using any time of day systems for this game? I tried Enviro when I first started the project, and I was going to use it, but the performance impact on my scene was too great. So I will probably, if I do have time of day, which I don't know if I will, I think I'll probably write my own. There might be a really good performance friendly one on the asset store, but personally, the only kinds of things that I really want to buy that are code related are things that I can't do myself. Like I think a time of day system, I specialize in scripting. So I think I would probably write a more optimized one than whoever. Like my perception of most Unity assets like a time of day or a weather system is that multiple people came together to make it and they were more artist focused. I've specifically focused on performance and optimization with everything that I've been building the entire time I've used Unity. So yeah, but it might be cool to have a daytime where you do different things. Like, so during the daytime, that's when you come to these racetracks and you do race events. And after an event or something, like specific amount of time would pass. So time wouldn't really be passing while you're in the event because it would probably only take a few minutes. But after the event is completed, win or lose, like let's say a couple hours pass. And then at night, that's when the street racers come out and you could do street racing events. That's how I would use a time of day system. The thing that I don't want to consider for time of day system is lighting. Like when I did all of the prototyping for the lighting design for this area, and all the streetlights, to me that's what looks cool. And I'd rather focus. I think what I'm gonna focus on is making it just look really cool for that specific time. Again, that kind of like I can do anything, and I think limiting what I can do is gonna make me be able to finish the project sooner. That's kind of how I feel about it. Let me grab that airport. Well, let me look at it again. What did I do? Did I close that? It's still here. My concern is that it's not optimized. But if it's not optimized, I can probably fix it. Like, my biggest concern is, well, I like that tower. That looks cool. I mean, that would definitely give some cool stuff to look at. And it does look like it has some emission built into the texture maps, which is obviously very good for me since I want a night scene. I'm wondering if it's Atlas though, because I really want it to be Atlas, but I highly doubt it. No, I see a ton of textures in here. Maybe that's okay though. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I could optimize it if it's not great, but because the code is running really good, I don't think it's bad that I have a few unoptimized pieces of art. The file size looks okay. It's only 129 megabytes. No reviews. Hard to tell. I've purchased some stuff from FaZe Squad before, and I like some of it, and some of it I don't like. Like these road sections, for example, came from FaZe Squad. These highway sections, I should say. Oh man, what? I think they need some UV work. Maybe not though. Maybe that's how they're supposed to look. But these sections came from FaZe Squad, and oh wow, I still have to make that go someplace. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about this little area. The thing I didn't like about these models, well, the thing I liked about them is that, like, they're all like little sections. So you could use these sections with splines to create spline-based roads, which is amazing. So that's what I love about the way they built it. What I didn't love was I had to change the scale. I think it's 0.3. So like they're just huge. Whatever, I'll buy it. It'll make me happy. Unity refuses asset store transactions if you're on a VPN. Which means I have to disconnect from the VPN, but I'm streaming. I don't think... I just want to make sure the kill switch is off, that way the stream doesn't suffer. Okay. The only other thing that I know I need to purchase for this project is a bunch of actual like hero vehicles. I need the player car, like all of the different player cars and the different opponent cars. Thanks for your order. You're welcome. Thank you for the airport. I will use it now. Window asset store. Where you at? General. No. Where's asset store? All right, Marcel. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. My asset. Oh, my assets go. That's weird. Okay. Anyway. I really should start using hotkeys in Unity. Something about them, though. Like, effort to remember them. And it, like, the asset store, I do open it a lot, but I think what I'll probably do is one day I'll get like another keyboard and map a bunch of keys to different hotkeys. That way I can just press buttons on the keyboard to do stuff without hotkeys. So like button 1 will do this and 2 will do that. Okay, here we go. Airport. Hopefully I'm happy with you. I think I will be. I was looking at aircraft models. They're not like, I think an aircraft model is like 15 or 20 bucks. And there's not a whole lot of them available. I think this pack was actually worth it. Save anyway. I don't think I changed anything. I think my scenes just always gets triggered for a change from Vegetation Studio. I think this looks good. Like Pulsar missing the material, but like overall, like this airport feels huge. Yeah, I like this. Huge runways. I could definitely see like the player car having a race in here. Try bringing it into the other scene. I mean, I might obviously have to come in here and pull some stuff out. Like, I'm pretty sure I don't want all of these fences in here. Or I don't know how detailed they are, but that looks like more vertices than I would really like to have on a fence that large in my open world. We'll see though. This is giving me flashbacks of Rogue Trip from PlayStation 1 car combat game. Yeah, this is cool. I like it. Go ahead and put it in the scene. See what it looks like. Drag this scene in. Okay. So I think the airport should go right around here. Is that a bridge? No, that's not a bridge. Probably should be. Hmm. So the airport's either going to go here. I don't think it. I don't think that's the right place for it. I kind of feel like this is going to be a very rural area with a lot of vegetation and stuff. What were you just thinking, Josh? I wasn't paying attention to what I said. And there's like an offset with time. Like I think you see things about 40 seconds after I do them. Okay, so let's make the scene active. And I could get rid of light in the camera. So I really just want to grab all of this stuff. Wow, that's a big airport. Oh, it's probably giant sized, like their roads. I'm sure it's giant sized. I gotta come in here and put a little car. My guess is it needs to be 0.3. Oh, Rogue Trip. Yeah. And I love that game. I had so much fun with that game when I was a kid. I like that game better than Twisted Metal. I should say Twisted Metal 2. Twisted Metal 2 is the best Twisted Metal game. I need to create an empty. Let's just move this to my scene. I think my ultimate goal is to create a game like Rogue Trip. That would be like super awesome. I really need to learn how to do character models and some animations. I think if I could acquire that skill set, then I can really make the kinds of things that I want. I don't know how much time it's going to take me to learn all of that, though. Carmageddon, was that for Nintendo 64? It sounds familiar. I don't think I played it, though, but I'm sure I looked at it. Yeah, this is about the size I was expecting the airport to be. I need to put my car on it. That's what I can use to determine the scale. What's nice about this airport is like just dropping that in, it fills up a big chunk of my landscape. So like I really only need to focus on like this area now, which is much smaller than the entire island. Like obviously I need to fill in a lot of details. I'm going to add a bunch of side roads and service roads. Where's the spawn point? Oh, that's in the other scene, isn't it? Is there a mesh collider on this? Please, yes, because I don't feel like finding one. No. You suck. Whatever. I'll just grab the car. I have a reference model over here, actually, inside of this tunnel. Every once in a while when I'm building stuff, I always grab a reference vehicle so I could kind of make sure the scale is basically what I'm looking for. And the last thing I had to define a scale for was that tunnel. Let's see what it looks like over here. Okay, where is the building? Put you next to a door. Oh, well, there's a road lane. Everything's so blown out. Definitely gonna need to do some work to this. Well, this light doesn't need to be here either. Oh, that looks nice. That looks cool, actually. So there's some, because it has a highway road around it, I could connect roads to this. What's up, Stop Motion Studio? You're building a new city. The old city crashed your game. But the new one you're working on is going great, no errors. Yeah, show me. Join the Discord if you haven't. There's a link to the Discord on my YouTube page. I encourage people to share their projects. There's a few people who are making cities, and we're all kind of learning from each other. I am happy with this airport. That looks awesome. I need to flip it around though, because I don't want. I want the highway on the other side. Now, see, if I were to pay somebody to build me an airport, an airplane, and something like this, it would cost me at minimum hundreds of dollars. If the artist was a professional and charged a professional rate, he would charge me thousands of dollars. And I got this for $50. I feel pretty happy about that. Yeah, I like this. The visual quality of the FaZe Squad models I've bought, I really do like that a lot. So now I can have like a road come over this way and connect there. And then the exit would be this way. Then there'll probably be like a service road or something. And a hole in the fence so the player can sneak into the airport. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, so set the height right around here for now. Need that light back on. Oh, that light makes that model look horrible. Let's see, terrain. Let's use this height. Nope, let's use this height. Yeah, that's good enough. I have a feeling though, this airport, I'm gonna actually need to go into that whole I'm curious. Let me fully expand it and see how deep it is. Wow, that's a lot of objects. Yeah, I'm gonna need to go in there and do something to make sure those are all optimized. That's a lot of objects. I mean, fortunately, a lot of them are prefabs, so I think that I can just go into the prefabs and do what needs to be done, whatever that would be. But this looks sweet. I feel like my world is more alive just because it has an airport now. Need to change that grass texture. It just looks horrible by default. But that light's not supposed to be on anyway. Let me just smooth this out a little bit. How long has the stream been going for? 2 hours. I'll go a little bit longer. So Stop Motion Studio says, yes, he's working on the road reflections. Trust me, it's looking better. Cool, nice. Yeah, I think like as it relates to like post-processing effects and graphical effects, I think subtlety is the most important thing. Like if you don't notice a reflection, but it's there, I think that that is good. But when you notice something, it kind of means that whatever you're noticing is popping out at you. And chances are that reflection isn't what you want to pop out. And I think that's true for all post-processing. Like vignettes, sometimes when I see, I know because I did this myself too. And when I first started using post-processing, I turned everything on and turned it all the way up. And I was like, yeah, that looks cool. But then I realized that like, no, I just have this really sharp black outline over my camera with the vignette, and it looks cool in some situations, like a sniper rifle. Or if you're like making a Super Mario game, like Super Mario RPG, I think they had the vignettes where they would go Or I think in a lot of their games, they actually used vignettes that just like fully closed to the center of the screen. So I think there's a lot that can be done with them in a subtle way. You're trying to make it more realistic, like a real city and a big city. I think the best place to look for like examples, like when I was first starting to build my racing game template, I would just look at all of these different racing games, like as many as I could. And as I was building, I was like, what features do they have that I don't? Like, what does their UI look like? How is their UI? And I would say for a city, like I've done it too. Like, look at GTA 5. They have one of the best open world cities. And try to pick elements that you think look amazing and add those into your scene. I feel like that's good enough for now. Like, I need to go on and detail all of these anyway, so I think making that perfect is not necessarily super important. Hmm. I really want to get to the point where I could make those airplanes fly. But not yet. That'll be like the last thing I do. I think the next step is to have this road go somewhere. Because that's the only road section that just ends abruptly right now. And then once I have that road section going somewhere, I think the next step would be to hook up the highway system to the airport. So yeah, I think this section right here is going to be like residential housing, like the suburbs. Which I need to probably figure out what kind of models I'm going to use for that. I'm not going to make the houses myself. I'll probably buy a pack. I might have a house pack, but I don't think I do. And I want to try to find a really optimized house pack. So like this section would be residential housing. If I zoom out, that's a pretty big section for residential housing. And then there will probably be like a road that branches off this way, a road that branches off that way. And obviously it'll connect that way. I think over here is going to be a wooded area, forests. So there will probably be a few paths through the forest and then up to the mountain. So I got forest over here, mountain path over here, residential over here, which really just kind of leaves this section, which I think again will be kind of residential. I feel like I could probably finish blocking out this open world pretty soon. I'm only working on the scene once a week on Sundays when I stream. That's actually the only time I'm working on this project. And I know I'm going to have so I definitely want to have a road that comes from here into the forest. And then I guess that'll probably go into the mountains. The mountains will be the last thing that I do. So Question is, where does this road go? That's what I need to figure out. Ah, yes, a stadium was something that I need. I did have a stadium on my list. A stadium, a museum, those would be cool landmarks. Yeah, like hero buildings, buildings that just stand out to the player. I think no matter what, like I'm gonna add a bunch of those at the end, and there's probably gonna be a few that get added into here. The only hero buildings that I had, like this is an industrial area, doesn't look like it, but it's a small industrial area. And then I have a small construction area over here. And there's another small construction area. Well, this one's actually a little larger over here, but they're not like really set up for races. Um, it would be cool to have like a port. I've thought about that. I think I was actually looking at an asset that had some cool like port things. Like one was this big giant red container mover, like a crane. I could probably put a port over here. I don't know what I'm going to do over here, over this bridge. But the idea here is probably that it's going to be over water. So this could be a good place for a port. I also need to have a lot of stuff like if you're right here, if you're driving along the edge of the road, everything out to your left is empty. So I want to put stuff for the player to see. That way he doesn't just feel like he's at the edge of the world. Or she. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I'll be right back. Go to the bathroom, and then I'll see what I'll do next. All right. So now we're in the home stretch. I think I'm just gonna try to figure out something else to do, then I'll call it quits for the night. Let me go ahead and save this scene, actually, and save the project, since I just added the airport. Do a quick reconcile and submit to Perforce. So I actually want, the question was, are all of my lights Aura lights? Am I using the volumetric features of Aura? I want to remove Aura from this project completely. The only thing I'm using Aura for, it's not even on any of my lights. It's like one of its camera effects. It gives some distant haze. And that's it. And I feel like Aura should just be removed from the project because of that. Aura was also something that was expensive. If I were to use Aura, I would be sacrificing a lot of performance. And I've just spent so much time optimizing so many different systems just to achieve decent frame rates. Well, I should say to achieve good frame rates, not decent. The game runs good. And something so small as like a distant haze, like, no, the asset doesn't need to be there for that. That motion says he works like 3 days on his city in Unity and takes a break for 4 to 5. Yeah, that's good. When I was first learning to build in Unity, I would do it every day. I do other things in Unity every day. Since I sell assets, I'm always working on improving those and writing documentation and doing other things. And I'm also trying to let my brain de-stress a little bit so I could figure out what I want to do next and kind of plan that out. So yeah, you said just waiting until your brain gets inspired. That's the same thing I try to do. Sometimes overloading it makes you have like 0 ideas. Yeah, Aura is definitely gonna hurt your game. It's a shame. Like, what I would honestly recommend, and I think most people, I assume, do it in the opposite approach. What you should do for your game is get the base of your game, ignore the graphics. From experience, I kind of feel like other people do the same things. They take all of these cool looking assets that make things look awesome and they put them in their project and in their scene, and they have performance issues. And those performance issues, like, they're blocking you from developing your project. The graphical improvement that you get from anything like Aura or any type of shader effect or lighting effect, something that looks really cool, like, that should be the final thing that you put in your game. Unless your game is like 100% artistic, I think then you should be starting with stuff like that. But if you're making, for example, like me, I'm making an open world game. The game, first and foremost, has to run good. And if I'm just starting a project and I'm fighting to get performance, like good performance, that's not a fight that I want to have. And I think everybody kind of does that the opposite way. Whereas if you you build your world, it runs good, you put some gameplay in it, it feels good, then you make the graphics look better. Then you focus on lighting, all of the details that will really make your project shine. That's my advice. Yeah, something I want to do to get more ideas is just start playing more games. As I got older, I started liking specific types of games more than others, and I just kind of stick to those. Like, I don't play racing games anymore, but I'm making a racing game. I don't play games with an open world, but I'm making a game with an open world. So I think that I should go and experience some of those things just to kind of see what some of the best studios are doing right now to make some cool content. I think that this road right here, I figured it out. This is going to be a tunnel. Yep. I think that's what I want it to be. But a tunnel to where? Well, should it be a tunnel? Don't know. See, the decisions that I make right now, I'm going to be stuck with them. Just like this area that I built when I first started the project, I'm stuck with it. I have regrets about it. Some of the regrets that I have are these blocks are a little too small. Like, that's too short. I want them to be longer. I kind of jam-packed a lot of stuff in a small area. And I feel like I could have designed that a little bit better. But I'm never going to go back and change any of that because that's done. Those are not even road architect anymore. Okay, so what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I think this is almost the same piece. Let me try to compare some. What is this? 4 lanes that it is turns into? What's this over here? 4 lanes. That needs some UV work. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube for inspiration. I feel like, though, when you're making a game, watching somebody play it and playing it is somewhat completely different. Like, it's great to watch for the visual design, but it's great to play to feel the physics and like experience what you experience when you turn a corner and you see something, like the first thing that you see. I don't know what racing game I would play if I were to play one right now. Honestly, I'd probably go back to something closer to the stuff that inspired me, like Midnight Club. I'd probably play the latest Midnight Club, and I'd probably replay Midnight Club 1, 2, and 3 when I'm getting ready to start working on game design. So okay, I know what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna take this piece right here. This is a prefab that I made out of an intersection and some road pieces. Let me duplicate this. right? Let me duplicate this. Oh, I still need to submit to Perforce. I forgot I was reconciling. Let me do that really quick. Save one more time. I'm starting to get hungry. Add airport. Need for Speed games are cool. I don't remember the last one that I played. I think the one that looked the coolest that they made wait, no, I did play one recently. I have one for Wii U. Whatever Need for Speed game they made for Wii U, I played. It felt kind of cool. I was using it to figure out like what they did for their camera controls, so I would play the game on the Wii U gamepad and I would see which buttons did what, and that's how I figured out like what my input setup would be. I didn't know all those files get. Okay, one more submit. And I think that one was actually open world. So it was kind of fun to drive around. All right, so now let us grab this intersection and bring it over here. Focusing on it. That actually looks like it lines up okay. Not fast, but the UVs aren't horrible. I can get away with using just those, I think that would be great, but I probably will have to adjust something. That's just a little too wide. Yep. I think I could just push it over. And that'll be good enough for right now. I kind of want to keep like this mountainous height here, because when you're on this side, that mountain face, it'll use it'll be a blocker for occlusion culling. It'll be an occluder, so it'll like prevent all that stuff in the distance from being rendered. How do I want to go about this? I think I'm going to make 2 tunnels here, actually. That's it. I have figured it out. I'm gonna do set height, use this. Go into here a little bit. The only problem, these are really long faces on this terrain. It's gonna make cutting the hole kind of hard. Yeah, for my game, what I do for braking is that when you let go of the throttle, the car just automatically slows down. So you could basically just like tap the throttle and get a really good turn. But I don't know if I'm going to use my car controller physics. I think I'm probably going to use something from the asset store. I just haven't decided yet. And whatever I do decide on, I'm going to make that decision after I'm done with the level design. Okay, so there will be a hole right here. I think I need to smooth all of this. I'm going to need to raise it again later. I'll adjust the opacity a bit and let's lower that brush size. Raise it up a bit. I'm smoothing all of this so that when I paint holes in the terrain for these two tunnels over here, I have better control of it. Opacity. All right, let's go back to set height. Grab this height right here. Push this out again. And I'll just go back and forth a little bit. Basically as many times as it needs until this hill is a little smoother. Yeah, I highly considered picking up Digger. And I almost bought it. But then I realized that I probably can get away without it. Like for my tunnels, what I'm doing is I have like it's all concrete. So it doesn't matter if there's geometry there or not. And I'm putting like this little piece of mesh tunnel entrance to cover the holes. So like the stuff that doesn't line up right, you never actually see that because it's being obstructed by this giant mesh. And I think if I wanted to go into more detail, which I might, I'll pick up Digger. Also, if I were to use Digger instead of like this mesh, well, no matter what, like for a tunnel, I want to have like some kind of concrete entrance. But let's just say I didn't, and I only use Digger instead of the paint hole. I would have to like dig throughout that whole tunnel, and that's going to add a lot of geometry, which would not really be required. I watched this show called Boundary Break. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. Boundary Break is super awesome. If you haven't, look it up on YouTube. The guy pretty much takes a camera from all these different games and he shows you how all of the games were built. So like Legend of Zelda, for example, he'll take the camera and he'll go on the other side of something. And then you'll see that what was on the other side, maybe it's a character animating. It might only have their torso or it might only have their head and their hands. Like all the geometry that's not required is just removed. And they do that for performance. Nintendo like typically has the least performing hardware. So if you're looking for like optimization techniques, you could learn a lot from Boundary Break because they really kind of they do all kinds of games, but he does a lot of Nintendo games. So you could just see some of the visual tricks that were done to make some of those games run on the low end hardware. Yeah, that's one of my favorite YouTube channels for game design. I watch a lot of different YouTube channels for game design, but Boundary Break always like gave me a ton of insight. Because it's not like you see Nintendo coming on YouTube and saying, "Hey, what's up, world? This is how I do stuff." So to find somebody that's actually taking the camera and exploring their games, that's always awesome. But yeah, I have thought about Digger, specifically for the overhang part. But whatever I use Digger for, it's going to be for that like final detail touch. It wouldn't be like the bulk of the tunnel system. I think the overhangs was what intrigued me the most. I think you could probably use Digger to create Minecraft on a Unity terrain, which is cool. So like if you're making a tank game like World of Tanks, I think that they had a cool example of what you could do, like deforming the ground under where a rocket exploded or something. So I think this whole section right here that I'm on just kind of needs to be lowered a lot, but I'm going to need to raise it up again later. I'm just going to cheat. I'm losing all of my terrain detail, but that's okay. And I'm definitely going to need to rebake occlusion culling after this. I thought it was bad before. Definitely going to be worse now. All these new tunnels. get this height. No, get this height. So I think this is actually just going to be a really short tunnel because I don't want this mountain to like extend very far. And this tunnel, I have no idea where it's going to lead to. Yeah, brushing is a pain. I hate terrain brushing, honestly. Like, sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. I honestly didn't really put too much thought into it until I started using the paint feature, the paint hole feature. Because if your faces of the hole that you're painting are like super stretched, you're gonna have a hard time. I think that what this, I have an idea for where this one will go, but I'm actually not going to use it yet. Tap Motion says he used terrain sample in Unity, but the asset and the scripts are all showing errors. Yeah, I'm not sure what that tool is. Actually, what I was thinking here, but I'm probably gonna go away from it, was it's gonna be a tunnel too, but I was thinking it would go down and maybe around to an underground area here. Because I would really like to create an underground area in this section. I won't do an underground area in this section. Maybe some small areas, but I don't know. But I also don't want to get too carried away. So I stop myself sometimes. I really just needed to get that giant mountain out of the way. And now I think that this is manageable. So I'm going to take my little terrain entrance or tunnel entrance prefab and duplicate that. One will be right here just for placeholder right now. And the other will be right here. I think what would be really cool is to have like an underground tunnel that is made of glass that's kind of next to the water, so you could see like fish and stuff in there. I think that would be cool. Maybe I might do that here. I'm not sure. You said the city looks really good. Thanks. I personally, when I look at it, I see a mess. I'm not happy with it at all. But It's probably... I've built 3 cities in the past. One was super tiny. One was much bigger for my racing template. And then this one, which is like 10 times bigger than, or 20 times bigger than the biggest city that I've built. Me personally, like, my main goal is to just have something that is optimized. And hopefully I can make good design decisions while I'm building it. But I don't really have super high expectations for this city. Like, I don't, like, yeah, I'm making a racing game, but I don't think it's ever going to be the greatest racing game that is ever made, for example. So I'm not going to pretend like it will be and like go crazy on it. Because honestly, like, you could get, when you're detailing, you could detail forever. And I feel like the stuff that I want to detail is stuff that forever is like stuff that I won't even build for like 3 or 4 more years. It's kind of like you get to a point where you know enough to know what you don't know. And I feel like I got to that point not too long ago, and it's really a useful point to get to because it helps you gauge what you can and cannot do much more effectively. But it also means that like I'm less ambitious because I'm like, no, that's going to be too hard. I'm not going to do that. So I'm thinking something like this. And if this tunnel ends up going downward, which I kind of feel like I want it to, I would love it to like half of the tunnel be glass and then just like put some kind of cool water effect over that with some caustics inside the tunnel. But there would need to be some light source that creates the caustics. I really love caustic effects. If I could find a way to use caustics in my racing game, I definitely will. What did I do there? Okay, so now let's smooth this all out and paint some holes. I think I still need some more height in there. Yeah, it needs to come a little bit more. Yeah, you have to try. You'll never get better if you don't try. And I'm hoping that when I do this last smooth right now, it's actually the last one. Yeah, that looks like it could be okay. Nope, that one went No, that was okay. Okay, cool. Oops. Okay, let's try to paint some holes and see what happens. It's something like this area is where a digger would come in handy. Oh wait, what are they doing? Be careful. Okay, now let's try to paint holes again. And it looks like it worked. Nope, I do have that one right there. Sweet. There's a tunnel entrance. Not too bad. And one more. The first time I started painting holes in terrain, the sides were too steep and the faces were too long, and I was getting all of these like cutouts much higher than I wanted to. And I found that smoothing before you cut is really helpful. And so this one is going to be a very short tunnel. I'm going to duplicate this prefab, and it's probably going to come out like right here. And I don't know where this one is going to end up, but I feel like that looks cool. So now like this area up here, I can build that mountaintop back up so it's still blocking stuff. Like if you're over here, you'll be able to see that there's a tunnel over here, but that's still going to be an occluder and block a bunch of, like basically everything on the side of the island. So let me switch to set height, and I'll sample this height way up here. That's not what I want to do. from over here. I should be using a different brush for this. I get some better variations, but it doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to smooth height again. Make this look a little bit more natural. And also smoothing height helps me, like the more detail you have in your terrain, obviously, like the more faces and vertices it has. So a smoother terrain will just run better in general. And if I wanted to have something like high detailed, I can just like put an actual mesh. Okay, now get this one. Increase the opacity and the brush size a little more. Okay, cool. I don't like this area over here at all. Hopefully smoothing can make it look better. There we go. Okay. And that's how you do it. I kind of feel like what would be cool right here is if it was like a river. That would be really cool. I'll have to think about that. But I'm happy with today's work. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Stop Motion. You said if you want to make a game with story model, will it be easy or hard? Are you saying like if you're trying to make a story-based game that has progression, would that be harder than making like a level-based racing game where each level is its own race? I think no matter what, like the answer to a question, will it be easy or hard? If you don't know if it'll be easy or hard, it'll probably be hard. So with that in mind, I would encourage you to do as many basic first steps as you can and don't go too much into detail. And then see how far you're able to get and try to figure out what it looks like to finish. And from that point, you should be able to determine if it's something you want to complete or not, because by then you'll be able to gauge how much longer it will take you to finish your project. Yeah, like Josh said, there's some good dialogue systems out there that will make displaying dialogue very easy. But you're still going to have to hook all of that up to other things and trigger different events in your world. Personally, I think if you haven't made any game yet, you should start with a simple game that takes place in one scene and just add a player controller to it and see what you can do. Give the player something to do, like get to the end of the level. And once they get to the end of the level, they could load into the next level. So you could just make a series of level-based games, small levels that are easy to finish with only things that you know how to do. And once you've done that, then you can push your skills a little further. Try to think about what else you want to add into it. And over time, you're just going to feel more comfortable adding more and more. I think my very first racing game, I'll show you guys. I'm getting ready to get off soon. This was a very simple, like super simple. And this is actually like how I got started with racing games. There's a simple city scene here. Let me increase the video quality. It's bad. It's a 3-car race. All of the UI is always the same, so you could always see how much money you have. I put a mini map on there, and I just made it so that like the lighting looked good. But really, this was just the Unity standard assets car controller, and I figured out how to track first, second, or third, like basically the racer's position. And then that was the game. So I think I had 6 races in this game. There weren't very many. And then I put it on Google Play, and like 150,000 people downloaded it, and that felt pretty cool. So I definitely recommend start simple. Like what you saw in that video that was my city. Like you saw half of the city in that video. Maybe not half. Maybe you saw a quarter of the city, or like 15%, but the city wasn't much bigger than that. And that was how it all started for me. So the question is, do I want to do anything else today? Because my body's starting to feel sore from sitting in this chair. Been going for 3 hours. Not too long, but long enough to create this little road network here that I will put some condominiums in at some point. Start to block out these 2 tunnels. You know, I can do one more thing. I'll make the tunnel that ends right here. That way at least I've done something. So I guess you guys will get to see how I make my tunnel, because it's all spline based. So I'm using Dream Tech splines, and I'm just going to kind of reference what I did up here for my other tunnel, which is this one all the way over here. This is the first try tunnel. And all of these tunnels that I'm going to end up making are going to be needing some adjustments because the ground, well, maybe not that one, but oh, this is all blown out in here. The ground is raised up. The road is raised up above the ground, I should say. But anyway, so I'm using DreamTech splines, and the first thing I'll do is use a spline computer to create a path spline. Let's see if I could remember how to do this. So go to in 3D. Yeah, you put it there. Spline computer. I will call this path spline. And so I'm going to create an empty and reset it. This is going to be tunnel 1. And these are the 5 objects that make up that tunnel that we were just looking at. And here I'm going to be making actually, so what I'm thinking is I can probably just duplicate it. But I think it might be interesting for you guys to see how I set this up. So I'm going to show that part. It'll take me a little bit longer, but shouldn't take very long altogether. Okay, so I create a spline computer, and then I add splines and I add nodes. I don't need a lot of nodes. I'm still not very good at DreamTech splines, so bear with me for a moment. And there's not really a mesh for me to place these splines on, so I think that's why it's not going exactly where I want. Where are you even at? Well, I guess I could have put it on this road piece. You're still underground. One of the features that DreamTech Splines does is when you focus on the object, it kind of like linearly interpolates, it lerps to that position, and I don't like that. I wish it just would snap there, because you got to wait for the animation to finish. So in a large open world like this, it's kind of a little bit more tedious than it needs to be. Crod7435 says, if I wanted to make my own boxing game, could I develop my own assets using Blender? Yeah, you can bring anything from Blender inside of Unity. Like your own models. Yeah, an orthographic camera would probably help. You are right, Josh. At this point, though, I've already gotten it like right where I needed it, but yeah, that could have definitely helped. I think what I'm gonna do here, because I mean, no matter what, when I place the next spline points, they're just gonna be like all over the place, because this is just like a huge open space with no geometry underneath. So I'm gonna create a plane. Where's it at? Did it really go all the way? Because I had the path spline selected. Hold on. Okay, let's do this again. Let's create 3D plane. There we go. That is roughly where I want it. Now let's just scale it out. And I will use this to place my spline points on. I'll take the path spline and add points, append to beginning placement method, is on the surface. And here we go. Sweet. Sometimes you have to cheat. Just the way the world works. So now I don't need this anymore. I have my path spline. And I'll straighten it out soon. What does chat say? Brad says, okay, that's good. He can make stuff in Blender and bring it into Unity. Yeah, you can definitely make everything from scratch and apply coding on certain mechanics you want for the game itself. Yeah, that's the entire idea. So you would bring in your model objects, and then you would just write scripts to do what you need them to do. So if you need the arm, for example, to have an IK thing set up, you would just script that. Okay, so going back to the tunnel. So on tunnel 1, I have the path, the spline computer, which we just created. And that's it. All we use that for is the actual path of the spline. And then I have this subsplines script, which generates a bunch of other geometry for me and allows me to offset some stuff. This is a custom script that I wrote. I'll get back to that in just a moment. That'll actually be the final thing that we do. So what we want to do next is all these objects are, if we look at them, they all have the same thing on them. They have a spline mesh. And this one, for some reason, has a spline computer, but it's not supposed to. Shouldn't have a spline computer, should it? I thought Oh yeah, the roads do have their own spline because I wanted to do something different. So I could, okay, let's create, anyway, let's create some more meshes. So now I'll add the spline mesh component. And here is where I get to hook stuff up. So I can actually just like duplicate this, but I'm showing you how I created it from scratch. What I did here is in channel 1, I have the ground object, which is this right here. I'll just reassign that. Just going to copy this name. So you add a channel. Well, it comes with one channel. And on that channel, you assign your mesh. And then you tell it what you want it to do. So you could give it offsets, rotation, scale, etc. I'm just going to reference my settings from my previous. So all I did here was I offset the ground on the y-axis. Go back over here. Nope, not there. Not there either. Not there either. Here. Crowd says the game looks awesome as hell, man. Thank you. I'm still just working on level design and world design. I'm really looking forward to getting into game design. How do I get the graphics 60 FPS on the high PC gaming level? For a scene like this, I use the C# job system. And any code that I have, I write code specifically to manage the objects in my scene. So like a light, for example, if that light is thousands of meters away or 500 meters away, or if it's not in view, it should not be on. It should not be affecting the surface of any geometry, which would increase the draw calls. I do things like that. So I figure out what types of settings I want to optimize, and I write jobs to configure those settings in parallel, which the job system lets you spread the workload off of the main thread to all of the other cores of the CPU. So basically, you want to look into the job system and how you can use that. It's kind of, that's kind of high level, and it's kind of advanced, to be honest. So if you're new to programming, there's this channel called Code Monkey on YouTube, and he kind of talks about the job system. He has a few tutorials about it, and he'll go in and describe in detail. This guy talks a lot about optimization and how you would write your code to be very optimized. I highly recommend his channel. Yeah, no problem, Stop Motion. Have a good night. Thanks for checking out the stream. So back to this tunnel mesh. Let me change the ground offset to 0.79. And now what I have is I have an object that has a spline mesh, and I have an object that has a spline computer. So the spline computer, that's the shape that I want the tunnel to be in. And I will assign that to the spline mesh. Now look, I have a mesh in the shape of my spline, but it's missing a material. So over here, where does that material get assigned? I think I was supposed to do something differently. So what I'm going to do is actually reset this component, and I wasn't supposed to add the mesh. I was supposed to add the prefab. That way it gets the material. Why didn't it do it? I think that I have to remove the component. This happened last time. Reset doesn't work for component for some reason. So I will re-add a spline mesh and select channel 1, add my ground prefab. What? Do I need to have the spline first? Why are you being weird? Oh, is that that's the FBX, that's why. I'm not being smart right now. So I add the prefab in. Should grab the material. Why is it not grabbing the material? Anyway, I'm kind of getting frustrated by this, and I know I've done the work already. So I think I'm just going to go and grab my previous setup. So I'm just going to take the tunnel and the ground spline meshes from the other one. I'm going to duplicate them, put them here. And for both of these, I will just make them use the new spline. It's right here. And I still don't have a material. What the heck? Why does the ground not have a material? I mean, I could put a material on that. Tunnel ground. Okay, whatever. I'll figure it out as I go. So then I'll duplicate those road meshes too. And for these road meshes, they're not going to have an offset in the center, so they'll also use, I could remove the spline computer from them, and then I could just have them use this path spline as well. And now in this path spline, I want to put all of these nodes on the same Z position. So I'll check the Z position of this node. And there is a select all. I'll update the position there. So now basically I have this tunnel that I can adjust however I want, which is cool. I don't know why the ground is missing material. Try to figure that out really quick. And I'm not going to detail this entrance. I'll finish this next time I stream. So why did you not get your material on you? No, there is a material. Oh, it's just blown out. Well, that's a gotcha. Thanks, Unity. Wow, that totally looks like just a default material. Cool. Well, that's about it. I will do a quick drive through of the environment so we can kind of take a look at some of the stuff that I built today. Let me save the scene. Even though there's not really much we can get to, at least you guys will get to see a little bit of the game. I think that's the way I'll start and end every stream, is just doing a quick playthrough of the open world. So I think the last, or all of the first streams that I did, I was streaming them in 720p. So this stream should be in high quality. You guys watch it later, you should be able to see it in 4K. Hopefully that all worked out. So this is the big empty area. I'm currently driving around the perimeter of the game world. There's nothing here yet, and this is all the detail that I'm going to have to fill in. So I'm probably going to be putting in like thousands of street lights, traffic lights, vegetation. Fortunately, Vegetation Studio Pro makes placing vegetation super quick and easy. I like the curvature of the road. It feels good. It doesn't feel boring. It doesn't feel broken. I feel like the physics of the car could be improved. And that's kind of why I want to pick another car controller. These are car physics that I wrote myself, and It all came from the standard assets car that was introduced in, I think it was Unity 4 or 5. I don't remember. I think Unity 5. And I just started customizing it and building it up. Car definitely needs a faster speed limit. I think I say that every stream, so it's going to be something that I'm going to force myself to do next time. It takes so long to drive through this entire world at 145 miles per hour. I set it as 145 because I was like, well, this is going to be the starting car for the player, and I think 145 is good for that. So there's the airport. See some pink. Let's drive over there and just kind of see what it looks like. The cool thing about the physics for this car is like it could drive on walls and stuff. It gives me ideas of other things to do with it. I miss my old camera system. I'm using Cinemachine now, and I haven't programmed it so I could look left and right with the right joystick, but none of this stuff has a collider on it, I don't think. Oh, maybe it does. Does it? Or no, it doesn't. There's just ground under it. So I can't drive up this ramp. I would really love to drive up this ramp and see what that looks like. I think I can just toss some... No, there's so many objects on that. It'll be hard. But this looks kind of cool. Like I'm digging this. And also like seeing this gives me some ideas of things that I can do, because like with the spline tunnel that I was just showing, I can do the same type of design. So I could make a tunnel that has lights every, like repeating light patterns. That's the great thing about building on splines. I plan to use that heavily as I start to detail the world. Okay, so that's the airport, and let me just drive to the city really quick. There's an airplane floating in the air. Cool. And I should be coming to some road or something soon. I feel like this is the section that I was just on. I kind of know some of this landscape. This world is big. But maybe I have no idea where I'm at. Oh, yep. Okay. You can see the city down there. What I wanted to see though was over here. I knew occlusion culling was going to be popping. Oh, the ground needs to be fixed. Oh, that sucks. There's going to be so much detail work I need to do for this. Oh, now I just drove down here. Okay, anyway, what I want to do is I just want to drive through the city for 1 second. I'm going to pick up the car and put it on the road. Yeah, the physics are very floaty for my custom car controller. I'm getting horrible frame rate right now. Try to change something. partially because I'm streaming. Anyway, this is like the graphical fidelity that the prototype was for, and I'm just getting horrible frame rate right now. So thank you everybody who hung around with me today and watched. I will see you guys next Sunday. Same time, same place. Have a good night. Bye.